Yay!
Yay!
I'm still dead inside.
Oh, that's good.
Well, let's hope Lucas Southside doesn't get too much at this session.
I have my gamer subs. I have my liquid death. I am ready for whatever comes our way.
Now, I may be a bagman who lives under a rock, but correct me if I'm wrong. Wasn't liquid death the one that's basically water?
Yes, it is canned water.
All right, nice.
I
It
have
is really
remained
good canned water.
breathing oxygen.
Yeah, I mean, it's very funny that they call the brand of water liquid death because water is a very powerful dissolvent.
That's what makes dishes easy.
I mean, if you want to, I could literally the side of the can that talks about that gives like weird ass lore of liquid death as some type of creepy monster.
Nah, I don't think we're sponsored enough to do that.
Yes.
Okay.
Anyways, I believe we should be starting.
Indeed. Well, in that case, hello everyone, and welcome to another fancy, good old session of Hellfighters. Now, before we get to our usual schedule, uh, as some of you may know if you've been keeping up with the episodes, Austin left us last week as he got assigned to a new type of mission in order to carry out an operation across the system. Excuse me, a little sip of water before I continue.
They decided to release the rogue trader under condition.
Release is not what I would put it. Let's put it under new management. Right. Which is very similar to the previous management, and only the lower type of managers changed, and the upper management. It's complicated. But he has his ship back, and he's no longer with us ground people. Now, that of course does not explain why there's only two people here in this here screen. So, I shall simply explain this rather quickly. Due to reasons of life getting in the way of scheduling and no longer being able to attend on the times that the session is arranged to happen, um, Blackwood, that many of you know as David Victories, shall be leaving our party for the indefinite foreseeable future. That is to say, not something we had enough time or opportunity to do in a narrative sense as of yet, but nothing that should cause any issues to sessions as planned. So, still expect Hellfighters to continue every other week as it has been, with perhaps new members joining us in good time. But I shall not spoil any further. Instead, I shall let our current players introduce themselves.
Hello, Mek Plays here, and I'll be the one to be playing Maximo, the Ogre Warrior. You can go find me on Big Mek Plays channel. Don't have as much on it yet, but soon enough, get some stuff there. You can go head out and check my little kobold friend Gurglescree doing little shenanigans. I believe he's still stuck in the back rooms for some reason, and he's really lacking on his job.
You really should have told him not to go dumpster diving.
Well, I needed a new pot for me stomper, you know? But the thing is, it's hard to find good pots these days. Grots, they're not as reliable as kobolds. They find stuff, you see. Anyways,
Greetings, I am Art of War, and I play Lucas, the residential sniper who has yet to die.
Woe upon thee, O deathless one.
8 missions, and yet I have not died yet. Why?
because
Perhaps you
Maximo
cannot end redemption.
keeps you alive.
And I am your spectacular host and ingenious mind pulling the strings of the materium and immaterium alike behind the scenes, Sir Reaper. You can find all my old content in Sir_Reaper. And on the unfortunate note of everything backpedaling outside of the way of progress, the plans I had for autumn might be a tad bit delayed, but they're still in the works. Needless to say, I am planning of something. Nothing big, but fun.
I blame the blue spaghetti monster.
Damn
And I
religious
and I
cult.
and I blame shifting dates outside of my control that I am trying really hard to attend, and they keep shifting. But we're not here to discuss about the government. We're here to um, get on with the show. So, in the spirit of that, would you two fine fellows be able to recall the events of last time?
Hmm. Maximo must have hit his head, but it's hard to remember.
I will try my best. So, last time we were still in the middle defending Arlene from the oncoming attack of traitorous nutcases as they were attempting to take back the data console that she was extracting information from and kill her and all of us with it. We
They were
defended it
ultimately unsuccessful.
ultimately, yes, as we were able to finally take the as Arlene was finally able to extract the information and directed us to 2 different boxes that our residential road trader and Blackwood were thankfully able to move on to the elevators.
I mean,
And
David,
yes, David. We're able to escape. We're able to procure onto the elevator as we made our way back down to there before it got even worse. Before we were even more surrounded than needed. Unfortunately, we did suffer a casualty in the spider. Who had sacrificed himself to keep the enemies from using the elevator to flank us. May the Emperor guide his soul for his work for the Inquisition. We then procured one of the enemy vehicles and proceeded back to Haro, who did somewhat question what happened to the Torox, but left it as a necessary
dead.
casualty. Yes. Considering we couldn't get in contact with him
we
for...
both impressed and disappointed him.
It was a fine night indeed. As we then made our way back to the Spear of Xerxes, where we could gain some rest. But unfortunately, we are now down a member, as good old Austin has now been reassigned to assist with other matters in the system as a whole, where we left off.
All right. And on that note, I would like to grant you 2 points of glory for being so informative. And as some of you may notice, I'm starting this session with 2 instead of 4 due to the shortage of players. All right. Now, on to the matters at hand. Our grand investigation continues with the agents now inside an Arvus lighter vehicle, steadily returning to the city of Axia, one of the hives in Periandor Beta. As we find them within the vessel, amidst their ranks are Lucas, Maximo, David, and the inquisitorial acolyte Arlene. The four have just broken into atmosphere, beginning atmospheric descent towards the usual departure point that they have visited before, when suddenly a sudden rambling thunders across the hull, making everything shake violently.
Not liking this.
And even but one moment. The silence of the Arvus later is broken by thundering sounds of ammunition again. It appears to pound against the hull. The pilot speaks to you. We appear to be taking we're appear to be taking shots of flak. I will try to evade. All of you remain in position and be ready for anything.
Who's shooting us?
It appears to be coming from the city. I don't know why.
Looks like they want payback for what we did. They want payback, all right, and they're willing to do anything they can to take us down.
But how they know?
As you hear that, a loud boom comes from behind you, Lucas. A boom you can identify thanks to your knowledge in piloting vehicles. An engine burst.
Shit! The engine just blew!
Before you can continue the trail of consciousness, the cockpit signals in again. Says it appears the engine has been blown away. I'm gonna try to make an emergency And before she can continue any further into that sentence, you are all taken back by shock as a shot of flak bursts through the cockpit, turning the pilot into a mess of gore. Suddenly,
Holy throne! No!
as the vehicle begins plummeting towards the Hive City, you find yourselves losing consciousness because of the high amount of gravitational force at play.
Also the G-force as well.
That's what I said. Yeah.
And Maximo just looks towards Lucas. Are we going to die?
Ireland is
Great
the first.
Emperor, and hold on.
I
As you
will
all
hold on
fade in-
for Emperor. Is Erling with us?
Yes. As you all fade into
Maxwell will also
unconsciousness,
embrace Erling into a hug, trying to keep her safe. I protect you.
as you fade into unconsciousness from the G-forces and the several spins and motions of the Arbus lighter as it goes down, darkness envelops you. The next moment that you recall is a blinding light and the feeling of metal and permacrate under your hands, then under your face, and slowly the feeling moves all over your body. You find yourselves in the wreckage of the Arbus lighter. Lucas, you're the first to come to as you see a blurred dark figure standing a few feet away from you, melt over one of your comrades. Once your vision stops being blurry, you identify who's on the ground. David. He appears motionless, and you shortly after identify the figure leaning over him. Interrogator Haru. He appears to be holding two fingers on David's temple. And then he gives himself a nod and stands up, turning around, seeing the now waking Maximo and you.
Maxwell will come to the two and just looks towards Lucas and just, are we dead?
No.
It appears you have survived the cross.
Hurts.
The interrogator voice echoes inside your mind, among all the sounds of ringing.
Maximo will try to
I'm a-
grab his head. Skull hurts.
Amidst all the ringing from the concussions and whatnot, his voice speaks louder than any other sound. You appear to be relatively unharmed. Miraculously so.
So, Maximo not dead. But
The
very
Emperor
dead.
has guarded you still.
I guess Emperor is pleased after all. As Maximo will try to get up on the ground, from the ground, and see if Erling's okay.
Arlene appears to be fine. She's on the
She just
ground
rests
still.
off and just already has a cup of coffee already brewed and just, oh, took you guys long enough.
No, she's like on the ground, slowly coming to at last. Unfortunately, you do notice that David's David is not moving. He's not coming to.
Is he dead?
Unfortunately, yes.
His
He
head
appears
looks
to have
crushed.
perished. His head does not look crushed.
No, must be vision then. Maximo wipes his face.
Though, you do notice there is a pool of blood coming out of his helmet, slowly pooling underneath him. It is unfortunate that Victor's was the one to go among all of you. But the Emperor takes as he will, and we are not the ones to question his judgment.
Emperor needed him more than us.
Or perhaps less. Perhaps the Emperor has greater plans here than he does wherever he is now. In any
Lucas
case...
just-
Yes, go ahead.
During all this conversation, Lucas is just silently just stare at David's body, remembering his own past experiences with all this.
The interrogator leans against his staff and gazes across the city. It appears the defenses have been somewhat compromised. If loyal vessels are struck down, this is not great news.
But was it just accident or purpose? And if purpose, who knew?
That's information you shall unveil. Your harmlessness comes in great use.
Alright.
In the Emperor's favor, though, you did land quite close to the hideout. Allowed me to get here before anyone else could.
I guess lucky that.
Too lucky.
Lucky indeed.
I guess Emperor is omnipotent.
Though not lucky enough to send me here quick enough for this one.
He will be remembered.
The fallen shall be remembered as the Emperor's finest, as they say.
Is that one of those beast-marine hopes?
It is one of the many sayings of the Adeptus Astartes. But we're not here to muse about superhuman proverbs. Follow me to the hideout. There is much you need to be caught up with.
Lucas picks up his rifle, gets up, and proceeds out of the wreckage following Haro.
Maximo will look around and see if his equipment's still there or either broken or lost, and just find
The equipment
something.
is fine.
Okay.
And generally, you appear to be in a quite pristine state, all things considered. Like
uniform
still-
not tore up?
Yeah, still somewhat like dirty from being down on the permacrate, but relatively pristine.
Is Maximo's mustache still seen?
It is a tiny bit smudged from the laying face first into the ground.
We will attempt to fix it.
You quite easily do so.
Before he actually looks for it. Just
Must keep up appearances.
and then he finds his heavy bolter and river gun and all that. He just equips it all.
Arlene, though shocked and quiet, appears to also be in a harmless state.
Also, additional inquiry. Did I get more reloads since our little respite on the ship of Xerxes?
Anytime you're on the ship, you can refill on all your replenishables.
Sweet. Thank you. So Maximo does have ammo this time.
Yeah, which includes grenades, rations, reloads,
Good.
hours of oxygen in a void suit.
Yes,
the
because
like.
Maximo was out of rations for quite a while.
Well, it's a good thing we don't have to eat them.
I didn't know if I
Well-
could keep track of that as a resource.
Oh, not really. Not unless we specifically mention.
Okay, then.
Yeah. Unless otherwise mentioned, you have found non-equipment means of feeding yourselves.
Yeah.
In
I
any
didn't know if it was
case,
taken into account, of course.
it's okay. But I was saying, in any case, hmm. No, not this. There we go. As you return to the nearby hideout that you know of, the Taurox stationed hidden within the freight container. Harrow unveils the secret entrance once more and gestures you to go inside. As you descend, you find your headquarters to be relatively the same, if even equipment and other, let's say, items around would suggest an increased presence within the hideout. As Harrow descends behind you and the secret entrance closes, he speaks once more, this time out loud using his voice. A harsh breath comes out first before she has to talk. He does not do this often. In the few days of your absence, some events have taken place that have both advanced and hindered our research. I was able to come into contact with another interrogator who seemed to have had vital clues and information as to the person you refer to as the Voice. Interrogator Huraz. I'm gonna put his name inside. Was indeed looking into the actual identity of the cult leader, or at least assumed to be so. Unfortunately, our meeting was met with an ambush. Though he did not survive it, some of his retinue did. And they, along with his information, have sheltered here under my operational control. It appears that the more we dig, the more information these heretics are able to gain on us. These slights go unanswered as we fight for scraps of knowledge. And yet, we must persist.
So you're saying they're leading us on?
I am saying they know something. I had entrusted victories with task. A task I must now transfer to you all. If only at the risk of treachery. I have had firm suspicions for a long while that the traitor hides amidst the ranks of the Inquisition. This was, in fact, my true purpose here. To uncover the identity of the traitor.
Or you
They
knew?
summon. What?
You knew?
I knew one existed, but have yet to identify him or her. In these times of uncertainty, I've come to accept that very few among our organization can be trusted. Yet all of you went into the wolf's mouth and emerged without having turned your backs on one another. None was missing, and none seem to have sold the others out for survival. So have firm reason to believe the traitor does not lie within your squad.
Maximo
That
will
was
not lie nor betray the Emperor, for he is asking for Emperor's forgiveness.
And why you do that is none of my concern, but certainty is a foul poison. I had entrusted victories with unveiling if there is a traitor among your squad. In his last dying moments,
We had Austin, we had David, we have Lucas, we have me, Maximo, and Erling, and you. If say traitor, was it the spider?
well, I'm unfamiliar with the spider you speak of unless you're referring to Lady Rowena.
No. Many eye guy with lot enhancements. As many guns come from back from making dendrites.
As I was about to comment, in his last dying moments, I peered into Victor's head, searched through his thoughts. He appears to not believe any of you are a traitor.
Maximo will never be traitor.
We've established as such. It is now my firm belief that there is somebody in the higher ranks of our order feeding information to the voice and thus the rest of the cult. How they're able to keep up a step ahead. How they're able to ambush me and interrogator Huras on our meeting.
Is it someone we know?
I mean, if there was somebody and interrogator Howard knew of them, he would tell us. You are correct, Acolyte. I've not yet identified who it is, but it must be somebody of a higher station than mere rejects. Of Horus's retinue, the survivors were deployed in Xerxes. They have been tasked with interrogating sightings of possible cult activity within this sector of the Hive. And so they have immersed themselves within the local enforcer station in search of possible feed information. And as for Sergeant Malker, they're operating in a secret location that cannot be specified as of now. All I can say is they're assaulting a derelict Hive block that may be a stash of valuable resources for the traitors, hidden within the old hubs. So the members of Hora's retinue are investigating possible footage of the cult's activities on the local enforcer station, and Molker Squad is out cleaning a hub block of cultists. That is correct. And if I recall correctly, sir, you want us to identify the sighting of the anti-air weaponry and inquire as to what happened and why they opened fire. That was my initial request. I have managed to pinpoint during the attack where exactly the fire came from within this cogitator. He turns the cogitator to the cogitator area of the hideout. The miraculous survival of the Kras and the current state of your health comes as a great boon. You should waste as little time as possible and travel to these precise coordinates. Find the flak operators and inquire. Get every ounce of information out of them. What caused them to open fire? I believe you can all agree with me. If the Hive's defenses have been compromised, the Inquisition must learn as soon as possible. But for the purpose of maintaining an element of surprise, I would rather you travel there on foot, through the masses of the Hive. In case compromise has indeed occurred, I'd rather not risk another attack and you trotting off into another errand of repairing a destroyed vehicle again.
It wasn't our fault, though.
Do you think the Emperor sees you as faultless in destroying one of his holy engines, only to delay our mission by days trying to get it repaired?
But we didn't break it. That one guy with strange helmet with laser on it. From what mining thing was it? He shot us, but we were going mission. He decided to follow and shoot us. We tried stopping, but didn't help.
Your combat inadequacies are not of my concern. You should make haste.
Alright.
And Haru returns to turns to the inner chamber that he usually stays within to meditate. As Aralyn feeds it with her shotgun a little before going, well, it appears we have our mission settled then. We need to investigate who shot us and find out why. And on account of not wanting to raise any more suspicion or destroy the Taurox, we have been advised to approach an enemy fortification on foot. Well, not an enemy for sure, but I don't have a good feeling about this.
I don't know. But Maxima will try to make sure this time not breaking or letting things get broken.
Well, we have the coordinates at hand. I'm already sending them to your data slates in case anything goes awry and you need to find the area of operations on your own. We should get moving as soon as we're ready. Is there anything we should further discuss?
Maxima will shrug. Find out who and stop it. Simple as.
Viker, is there anything you would like to say?
For the time, as of now, we must stick to a solid plan. Finding out who's the one that ordered the airstrike on us, that's what we need to find out.
I thought it was back.
Same thing in a sense. Right now we need to figure out what happened. Who the hell
Just
ordered
imagine
it?
a Valkyrie bombing run in reverse where the Valkyries are upside down, dropping bombs upwards.
Sorry, let us continue.
Just had to
Same
derail
thing
with
still
this
applies. If we can find out who ordered it, we can root out the traitors much more easily. But if they're within the security of the entire Hive city, we must assume that even the upper echelons themselves are against the Imperium. This is turning into a full-scale war
Like
very
PDF.
quickly. It is a possibility.
I don't
Anyone
think
can be
Maxima know if
provoked.
there's actually another Imperial Guard garrison on this planet.
You could all make me a scholar check to see if you can recall any information, or you could ask Caroline. Or both.
No, Maxima will see what his big brain do. Hey, there's a 4 count.
I'll tell you after everything has been rolled. Lucas, would you like to roll as well?
I rolled and I got a 0.
Alright, so Lucas, you have no idea about the system of Periandor. Never heard of it. This is all rather new to you. You only know of like what you've experienced yourself. Maximo, you would know that though Periandor does not itself contain any regiments of its own, it does have the customary planetary defense forces that are allocated across the system to like basically in priority order of most to least precious world.
Yeah, Maxima will know.
Periandor, Alpha and Beta are somewhere in the middle of priority order. High priority order would include, let's say, Castellaran and Prosperia, because they are, you know, resource worlds. And lower on the priority order would probably be the Shrine world and the Paradise world, you've heard of. Because while they're of great importance, they don't hold much in strategic value.
So Maximo's wild assumption that most likely the PDF has traitors amongst them.
That could be a likely case. Though with a 4, I'll give you one additional piece of information for that shift, which is if the Periandor system was to come under threat of war, from your knowledge of like regiments and who is where, you would know that the highest possibility of which regiment would come to fight for Periandor would most likely be the Mordian Guard.
The one with the strange face mask thing, right?
No, the Mordian Iron Guard are the ones in the Navy uniforms,
Oh,
who
them.
are always in parade gear.
Oh, yes. Maximo, blue uniform, not red.
Indeed, they look much like you, but blue.
Not as fancy, though.
Maximo flexes on his mustache.
Maximo having this conversation in his head with himself.
Yes, indeed. He's talking to other Maximo in his head.
He's
one that
talking
has
to
the
other
golden
Maximo, the
mustache.
golden one.
Yeah, the golden
Yeah.
one with the golden mustache.
So,
Mm.
well, if we are under the threat of war, then I'm afraid it would mean a lot for the system. I doubt that much will survive, let alone the more delicate things we need for our research. As it is the Inquisition's way, we should try to avoid a full-scale war with these people. As long as we can quell the rebellion and, well, root out the heretics without having to involve exterior forces, that would be preferable. In other words, the Inquisition doesn't like including other people in the job.
Mm.
Either case, Harrow can still probably sense that we are not moving, so we should change it for our own good. Shall we?
Let's get going.
Let's go.
Alright. As you're going to be traversing a Hive city on foot, there is a survival test needed to navigate across the labyrinthian streets and multi-layered corridors of a Hive city to get to your destination.
Maximo has a survival score of 5 total.
You could get assistance from or give assistance to your party, but first I would like to know how do you plan to go about rolling the survival test. Remember, to provide assistance, you need to have invested at least 1 point into the skill itself.
There's no
And you
good
can always
stats of
ask
food.
Aralyn for assistance. Actually, let me see if Aralyn has invested in survival. She has not, so you cannot ask Aralyn for assistance on this one.
Yeah, I knew that.
Does Lucas
She's
have
too
invested
smart to
points in?
find things out.
Mhm.
I have a passive survival of 3 and a total of 5.
No, I mean, have you put points into it?
Yes, I have a
Okay,
passive of 3, an attribute rating of 2, and
so
a
you
total of
both,
5.
have invested into survival, and you both have a rating of 5. So who is
Yes.
assisting and who's making the roll?
Ah, I think Aximo because he's tallest.
All right, I'll be assisting.
So
All
plus
right,
5?
with +5 bonus dice. Yes.
Yes. Rolling. 6 with complication.
Hmm. All right. Uh, I'll tell you this. With expert navigational skills on deciphering coordinates from Lucas and your ability to have a head above the crowd, you are able to make headway quite swiftly. Though you do happen, and this is your complication, to be upon what would be considered a rush hour for the city's foot traffic. That is to say, you move along a very large mass of people, and it is, first of all, uncomfortable, and second of all, crowded.
Actually,
Packed crowded.
I had a secondary opinion about my complication. Maximo got distracted by the smell of fresh bread from a local bakery and decided to slow the party
Oh, don't
down.
worry. There is
Bread.
there is good reason for this complication.
But that was just my
Trust
point
me.
of view.
I mean, that could have happened along the way, but
Hmm.
While you are moving through the dense crowd, Lucas, somebody bumps into you, almost making you drop the data slate that's holding the coordinates into this large crowd. As they profusely turn around and apologize with something along the lines of, "Oh, by his name, I'm so sorry. I did not mean to bump into you, soldier." You notice that they appear to be wearing priestly garbs, and none of questionable origin either. This person appears to be wearing attire fitting of the cult of the Emperor. And he leans down and gives you a piece of parchment. This fell from you, sir.
I take the parchment hesitantly, not losing eye contact on the pre on the priest at all.
Maximo
After
says to this.
Be careful where stepping, friend. It's dangerous around here. We do thank you for assisting.
yes, anything to help the Emperor's faithful. And he turns to the crowd and merges back into the mass. Now, Lucas, I think we're both very aware that you did not, in fact, carry a note with you.
I am fully aware.
In that case, allow me to give you something.
Oh no, it's a bomb.
No.
Wait, how can a piece of paper be a bomb?
Oh, alright. Have you ever heard of anthrax?
Yes. Good thing I'm wearing gloves.
Let's see. Share with Art of War. I need to slightly alter the name, and of course share with the eye, so the viewers can see this as well. In fact, share with all players.
Uh-oh.
That's all right. You can feel free to read this out for the audience if you want to.
Where is it? Exactly.
Oh.
Okay. By my master's will and that of the Emperor of Mankind, I have but little time to explain crucial information that you must pay close attention to. Your interrogator has so far managed to cleverly allocate his resources into a chase of fake leads and dubious information. His involvement in Periandor has compromised several of his colleagues and subordinates, such as your fellow stormtrooper companion. This must no longer be allowed to continue. By covenant to my master, I shall speak no further truth, but if you wish to learn more, go to Hab Block 71B-H and recover the information gained by Sergeant Malker and his squad.
What?
The letter is then
Signed.
signed.
The sound of other people.
The letter then follows with a signed, with a signed image of an eye clutched within avian talons.
This is most disturbing, to say the least.
Ireland looks at it over your shoulder. Well, more like next to it because shorter. I am very familiar with bureaucracy of the Imperium, but even I do not recognize that symbol. It certainly bears Imperial designs and it has many familiar hints to certain organizations, but
This is all confusing to Maxim.
Can Lucas make a roll to try and see if he has seen this symbol anywhere before?
um it would be scholar, and you would need to get. Hmm, I mean, with the glory we have right now, you wouldn't be able to get anyway. It would be a DN10 scholar check.
Oh,
So, so Lucas would have no idea either way.
Yeah, and
Should
let,
we trust it?
let's put it this way: Arlen rolled, and she did not roll well.
Jeez.
Will
She
Maximo
rolled
allow to?
very good, but not enough.
well, I think Maximo. Would it be okay if Maximo sacrificed one of his wrath points for Arlene?
For her to do a reroll.
Yeah.
All right. You may.
All right. Maximo sacrificed one of his wrath points for Arlene
Okay then.
because she's
In
the
that case.
brains.
Unfortunately, even with a reroll, she got up to an 8.
It's still better.
She went from a 6 to an 8.
Should we go find some place private to contemplate, or bring this back to? Brain start to hurt again. Too much going on. Smell of fresh bread. So good though.
Haro
Well-
did say that we have a traitor in our rank. More than likely a traitor in our ranks.
But
We
also
need to
says we
consider
go dally,
everyone.
and yet this makes us dally. Ugh.
But right now, we
Well,
should to a safe spot. Then we can
This
make further decisions.
this paper would suggest that Mr. Harrow or Interrogator is perhaps part of the problem.
But he will know if we have thoughts.
That is true, which means we either ignore this information and do as he says, or we move swiftly and find out what Sergeant Malker found out before, I guess, anyone else can.
I'd rather cover all our bases before anything goes wrong.
Could we just send this to someone else?
It
I
wouldn't be
dread,
tough.
I dread the idea of even considering Interrogator Harrow would be purposefully doing things against our cause. But whoever made this seal and this parchment, while unrecognizable to me, still seems to hold authority.
But it's just piece of paper. How can paper hold authority?
It's
It's
not
the
the
symbol.
paper, it's the symbol.
I
Exactly.
don't know what symbol is. It's new to me. So,
It is new to all of us.
does it
This
actually have
information
authority if we don't know?
Even the Inquisition holds much authority that we are unaware of, from what I can gather from just
The
being on.
Inquisition holds a lot of authority, and I know of their symbol. This an imperial symbol I am unaware of.
Our only option is to try and cover all our bases. If Haro is in fact part of the problem, then we need to consider it a possibility.
If Harrow is
if
part of the
trap-
problem, we could be heading into a trap if we follow his instructions.
This is
Again,
super
I
true.
dread the idea. I much dread the idea, Maximo, but in contemplation, the man finds ambushes wherever he goes.
Well, at least I trust you, Erin. I work with you. I trust you too, Lucas, because I work with you. So therefore, I will follow you both.
Well, I guess that leaves it to one decision. Viker, what do you suggest?
As
Do you-
she asked me that, I look at the coordinates for Hab Block 71B-H to see how far that is from us.
It's not too far. It is within, like, this subsector of the Hive City.
It is within this subsector, so we can easily cover both bases as quickly as possible. And if Malker doesn't take up too much time, we can easily ascertain the information and then proceed with that along with Haro's request.
The
As well.
question is, can we trust Malker?
In my line of work, information is only as good as much as you can trust it. Until such events happen, I don't trust anything. So for right now, if the only trust we can put is in that he has something that we need, I'm sure as hell gonna get it one way or the other. And we need it now.
Then
cover
we
all
should get moving
bases.
quickly.
Let us move quick then.
But can we stop for bread later, though? It really smells good.
If
Very well,
situations permit us, we shall. I say for now, let's make sure we're not heading into an ambush.
Maximo understands and agrees. We go for bread if Maximo good.
You all begin to make headway to hub log 71B-H. As you swiftly make your way through the crowd, what with your high survival roll from before allowing you to move quickly through the streets of Axia.
Since I forgot of previous, do we still have to do that reroll or use old one? Old focus objective.
All right. I keep forgetting these things. Yeah, do all your objectives.
Oh, yeah. I was hoping Maximo keep his current one.
I mean, we're pretty much already started the session, so I'd permit it on account of my own fault.
Good. And then Maximo uses tremendous book to dominate social situation by keeping people out of way.
Ah, excellent. Then I would like you to make me pretty much at this point complementary athletics test, just to make sure no complications happen while you do that.
The athletics test?
Indeed.
Any bonuses?
I mean, you already have a high athletics, don't you?
Yes.
Let's say the bonus are in the DN. Yep, very easily passed. Indeed, you do manage to use your enlarged mass as an ogryn. Essentially, as a friend of mine put it, a very large dwarf. To not shove, but let's say politely place people aside so you can make way more quickly.
Politely but firmly move them out of the way.
Yeah, and that will also gain you one wrath as you invoked your objective. And remember, wrath does not have a maximum, it only has a resetting point at the beginning of every session.
Of course.
But Maximo is Maximo.
Indeed. So, as you make your way to hub lock 71B-8 with a relatively swift and easy going, you finally make sight with the derelict ruin that is this hub block. One is composed of a great many layers of habitats upon habitats, now barely consisting of the first 5 floors. The building appears to be entirely empty, though even from the outside as you approach, you can see signs of combat. And as you stand outside this abandoned relic of another time, a stance visits you. A stance that, thanks to serving in the guard, you're both rather familiar with. Iron, powder, sulfur, the smell of combat.
This does not bode well. You smell that?
I'm aware. Yes.
It smells like blood.
Even for a masker, you manage to smell quite well.
Lucas then proceeds to then turn towards Maximo, holding his finger up in silence, and proceeds to use quick hand signs to say approach with caution, so as not to attract attention with voices.
Maximo immediately quiet, nod to it, and silently prepares his heavy bolter.
As you ascend the corridors heading into the hub block, the dense permacrate walls silence the world outside. Inside here, there's nothing but the thoughts in your head and a deafening silence. The air hangs heavy as you proceed onto the first floor. The building appears empty. You find a few cultists, maybe a dozen or a few more. They appear slain, las-type weaponry having marked their bodies with vicious holes or slashed open by small arms blades. But as you wander the floor, you do not find much else of substance. It appears there was a fight here. The squad likely made entry into the floor and they were met with opposition. These bodies are still relatively fresh.
Lucas nods to Arlene's direction, and he proceeds to focus and see if he can pick out any type of like small sounds of of boots or any type of feet moving across the floors, either on the first floor or up.
Roll me an awareness test. That's a 2. Unfortunately, it does not surpass your passive awareness, so you don't hear anything you wouldn't already hear.
All right.
Should Maximo do a roll as well, trying to figure out sounds and smells?
Very well, you could.
Awareness test as well. Hey, look, I 3 with a glory.
Alright. A 3, you still don't pick out any further sounds. It still appears to be this absolute quiet.
Maximo don't like this feeling. It feels like being watched.
Lucas
Tell me about it.
scans the floor looking for any stairways up to the next floor.
You spot several entrances to the next floor, though some appear barricaded and boarded up. One of them appears to have been fought for, bodies littering the way towards it as if the cultists were trying to stop whoever was here from gaining access to further.
Do I see any bodies that are not cultist?
Not thus far.
I proceed slowly to one of the barricades to see its own structural integrity.
It is made of these ruins, along with some outsider resources. Nothing proper or the way you would do it on the guard, but more so something you would meet at the sign of a gang fight between Underhive gangers. Piece of broken machinery, the occasional strut of metal positioned to uh, scare away anybody who would suddenly charge. The usual.
Are any of the barricades open for us to proceed to the next floor?
As I said, there is one that appears to have been fought open.
There's
It's
one
well
that's
bashed
open.
in. What could do?
We proceed up with extreme caution.
Maximo will try to notice the environment. What type of battle damage was it? Is like severe battle damage like heavy caliber weapons, or is it still the light caliber weapons such as slug?
Mostly slug throwers and lasguns.
So small and
Occasionally
light.
you see, yeah, and there's also the occasional, shrapnels of a frag grenade.
The scorch marks, the frag grenades, and stuff.
Yeah,
Something like this was like big operation. Like, I do
this
not
is
like
likely
it.
the this is likely the hub block the interrogator mentioned, the one that Sergeant Malker's squad was clearing out. Remember?
Yes.
I think so.
If they are still here, or if any information is still here, it is more than likely on the top floor. It is more than likely on the preceding floors. We'll proceed with caution. Take it slow.
Arlen narrates his shotgun and points forward as he follows behind the two of you.
Lucas proceeds up the stairs slowly, checking for any tripwire traps just in case.
Oh yes, checking for traps. Always in.
You ascend the stairs and find yourselves now on the second of the remnant floors of this building. As you do so, it appears to be much more promising. You find several barricade areas and destroyed caches of ammunition and weaponry within the hub block floor. Some of the old habitation units, which are basically one-room apartments, seem to have turned into makeshift bunkers or storage units. This appears to have all been destroyed, as this was very likely the reason of operations for Sergeant Malker's squad. Amidst the large array of dead cultists, you spot one figure that appears to be hunched over a barricade. Well, not hunched over a barricade, more like. Yeah, sorry. It appears to be sat behind a barricade, head tilted down, and large pieces of metal shrapnel having gone through the figure's body. It wears the armor of an inquisitorial scion. This is the one you might remember as Vult, the Vox operator.
Oh, I like him. He was good. Hmm. A kill friend. Not good.
Yes,
I
this one.
go ahead.
No, you go ahead, sir. Go ahead.
As Arlene proceeds to speak, I slowly approach the corpse of Volt.
Yes, this was their communications expert, correct?
I guess it was his last day's fault.
Indeed. As you approach, Lucas, you do notice something particularly peculiar about Vult. Most Vox operators will never part with their Vox unit unless dire circumstances require them to. Vult's Vox unit appears to have been removed before his death. As you move his body, you notice that the piece of shrapnel do not have any markings of piercing through anything behind him. They tore clean through his armor and out his back.
If he is a Vox operator, I then look back to them. Where is his unit? They would
Perhaps,
never part with it.
perhaps he stayed behind to provide covering fire while the others took the unit somewhere.
A Vox operator would all. No, I've seen Vox operators destroy the unit before they ever give it up, out of fear of what the enemy could do with it.
Is it just glorified radio?
No. A Vox unit can store some information.
Indeed. It contains a sort of, let's say, black box. It can broadcast messages even. Shall we continue on the next floor?
Let us proceed. I have a feeling we're about to find more information. But before Lucas makes his way up there, he'd like to check any of the boxes and such for markings on them, if possible.
The destroyed boxes appear to bear markings of the Officium Unitorum, which you would know to be the people in charge of providing supplies to guardsmen, PDFs, soldiers.
Yeah.
These are usually used for ammunition, rations, grenades, all sorts of useful things. Few of the boxes, though, bear a different marking. Well, a couple of them actually. One you would know as the, let's say, Officio Administratum, which is in charge of bureaucracy and also civil supplies, corp starts,
Of course.
and the other bears a mark akin to the one you saw at the book factory.
And much of them is Munitorum. But there's one of the Astratum, and one that we've seen before, of that factory.
The one with the books, correct?
Yes.
Perhaps they were keeping some of their dogmas here, either to share with the populace or to refurbish their own knowledge.
It seems we're about to find Something out quite interesting.
If they were able to get their hands on uniform supplies, though, they must either have somebody providing them cargo or the interrogator suspicions as to the compromise of the local army might be more sound than we thought.
Lucas then looks towards one of the entryways to the next floor and goes, and we might be finding more information here than we originally suspected. As he then proceeds to move slowly towards the next entrance to the next floor.
You find the way up towards the next floor. By the way, these stairwells are like, they're fairly long. You find the next one is littered with bodies. It appears that they were fighting as they were ascending, and the cultists had made attempts to halt their advance, failing to do so, as you yourself have bared witness to how much their armor does against tempestuous armor. It appears they gave them quite the fight here.
Then that tells me they were willing to die for something or someone, and they were not going to give that up without a fight. Proceed with caution.
Or to on the third floor. The first thing you notice, well, not the first thing, my bad. You walk among more and more cultist bodies littering corridors. A very large amount.
Grace, try not to step on heretics or other things.
That's nice.
Because he doesn't want the heretic goo to mess up his boots.
Yeah, you don't want heretic blood on your boots.
Yeah, no heretic goo. It's bad for
Not unless you've earned it.
No. Never stain destroying guard boots.
So, as you make your way further within, you spot a much less packed area. This one appears to have less signs of defensive deaths and more signs of people dying as they were advancing towards this position, which gives you new insight as to what happened on the stairs. For it now, it may seem less like the cultists were trying to stop the stormtroopers advance towards the staircase, and more so trying to advance towards the staircase themselves, likely reinforcements.
The stairs were reinforcements by the looks like it. You can see the troop movements from here. They weren't trying to defend it. They were trying to get in and being held off.
I believe our answer as to why may lie across the hallway. And Arlen points a edging finger towards towards the staircase, the fourth floor. As you see a black gauntlet lying limp off the side of a barricade.
Do I recognize the make of the gauntlet, or is it just generic cultist
No,
gauntlet?
it is an Inquisitorial Stormtrooper gauntlet with the little interface and everything.
I proceed slowly to the gauntlet, taking in the amount of bodies, seeing if there's any more inquisitorial trooper bodies around.
While not on the floor itself, you do find the bodies of Siv and Andil at the end of the hallway. Oh, sorry, a little correction. Volt and Andil. Siv was downstairs. He was the Vox operator.
Ah,
Yeah, my
my
bad.
correction.
Yeah, you find the bodies of Volt and Andil, and you found Siv downstairs. Let's see. The first appears to be leaned against a wall with a gruesome bullet wound on the side of his neck. The latter appears to be cornered at the appears to have been cornered against the back wall leading to the way up, as you find many spent lashbacks around him, and he appears to not bear any substantial wound that would threaten his life, but the thorax of his armor has a very deep dent, and his neck appears snapped.
First, died due to more than likely a bullet shot through the neck. He choked on his own blood and died. The second was beaten to death. Was beaten down hard. More than likely a heavy blunt object, as by the indent in the carapace armor. But that didn't kill him. Signs of a snapped neck. You can see the striations here where the spinal column was snapped, clean in two.
I
Looks gross.
Yes, and I unfortunately have an inclination as to who could have done this. We don't have many friends with big bludgeoning objects, do we?
Well,
We saw
think
one.
use rock, brick, assault rifle, maybe Vox should.
No. Blunt object, based on the indentation, we're probably looking at something highly metallic, possibly made of wrought iron or steel. One solid blow could easily dent the carapace,
Like a
but we
massive
have met
hammer.
someone.
Like
Yes.
a hammer, yes.
We have
Do you-
seen someone with that type of profile, that heavily armored individual who was in that laser gun with the laser gun turret.
Did Max
The
actually see
martyr.
that character, or
Yeah, the martyr.
Yes.
You mean
The guy-
head? The one with
Yeah,
Yes.
the one that when David shot him, every single shot seemed to reflect around him.
Yes.
Either because he was bad shots or incredibly lucky.
Or perhaps we're dealing with powers beyond our understanding here. More than likely the case with heretics.
Well then,
Thinking about magical powers or whatever what thing they do is give maximum headache.
in either case, we only have one direction to go. As I point towards the stairs and where the
Boys.
Yeah, let's go. And I assume you all proceed up.
Maximo will follow.
As
us.
I
Yes, he can.
before Lucas goes up, he looks at the gauntlet to see if he can see any identifying markings of who owned the gauntlet.
Oh, the gauntlet was on the body of Volt.
Ah, okay.
It was visible from the other side of the barricade because of the way it had fallen.
Ah, okay.
Yeah. Yeah, it was still on his arm, just so we're clear.
All right.
Yeah.
It wasn't clear the first time you said it, so I thought
Yeah,
it was.
yeah, I picked up on that thanks to your question, so that's why that's why I'm explaining. Well, as you proceed the fourth floor, you find it littered with more bodies than most. And it appears that this floor was not exactly used for storing, as most of the cab blocks are not like blown up or barricaded. Instead, most of them appear to be sealed. the way it should be in a derelict building like this. But at the end of the access hallway, across a tirade of dead bodies, you see propped on his knees another one of the scions. This one appears to be lacking a head. I assume you approach.
I approach carefully.
Maximo got reminded the last time when we fought the sniper, but that other headless thing was with Axia.
Yeah.
As you do
Maximo
approach,
cautiously feels
sorry.
his ear because of pain.
Yikes, yeah. I forgot about that part.
Yeah,
But
he just
as you do
really-
approach,
Mm,
you notice that underneath that body are two spent hellshot lasguns, one underneath its hand, as whoever the stormtrooper was, he's now on his knees, spent, looking defeated, without a head. Trailing your head to the side, you notice a crushed helmet on the side of the wall. Likely, whatever took his head did with such force that it and the helmet went flying to the wall.
This reminds me of kitchen and mess hall with crushed can.
The helmet doesn't appear to have any special markings. This must be Warren, the last of Malker's squad. Now only the sergeant is left to find.
He's still alive.
I somehow doubt that.
Do I notice anything odd about Warren's body?
The way it is positioned, your best estimation is that those hellshot lasguns that he appears to have been holding with its hand ran out, creating this sea of bodies I described earlier. And after that, he appears to have taken a knee and accepted whatever fate awaited him after that, which appears to have been decapitation.
So like he gave up.
No. More like he knew his time was come and accepted it. He did not give up willingly.
But
More than like,
that make my brain hurt. He accepted his fate and died, but not gave up. Sounds like giving
Well,
up.
his lasguns are spent. I think he realized that he could no longer fight without them.
He still had a knife, right?
Indeed, but
This sounds too suspicious for Maximo to contact. Things just don't count up.
perhaps he was just hopeless.
Hopeless? I thought they've
there are many stories of soldiers who were willingly fought to the last, spent all their ammo, and when they knew they'd die, they accepted it, knowing that in the Emperor's eyes, they gave their lives to hold out for as long as possible.
To remind myself the scene, is the scene still littered with his supposed enemies, or he's just dead alone?
Oh, I said this floor has more bodies than any other. It is littered, but there is none around him. Implying that he basically fought until the lasguns gave out.
He still stood at one with a knife. Just
I don't think it would have
wanted
mattered.
me to accept fate is not good. Not good
No.
at all.
Aralyn, with
He couldn't have.
Aralyn, with your passive perception of 3, leans down near the body and picks up something.
What
She
did you
holds
find?
up a spent glow stick. Well, that's interesting. At least they gave him that. At least they gave him that merit.
What merit? I see
Final
it is
smoke.
just small stick of glow. Or smoke
A final smoke. They gave him one last pleasure in life.
But
Or
the
crushing
Mek was
his head.
confused but he still had helmets on.
Pointing towards crushed head on the wall.
He most likely asked to have his helmet back on afterwards.
That
Most soldiers would die with that.
Maximo goes across that confusion.
Do not worry, Maximo. But for now, I think I figured out where the Vox unit is. The only person we have yet to find. Or who else would have the black box?
So you ascend to the final floor.
Yep. We ascend with caution.
The ruins, that is the remaining floor of this building, bears no ceiling and very few walls. It's more like a strewn apart collection of rubble. There are no bodies here except for one, positioned well in the middle. No gun to be found, only a shattered knife away from mere grasps away from the body's hand. As you approach, in this derelict ruin, you see the body of Sergeant Malker. A large hammerhead-shaped hole on his chest, having burst through the armor and crashed down to the floor as if he were stabbed with it. His face does not appear to have suffered a similar fate, as his helmet is off to the side, and he appears to have been beaten. A beating familiar to all of you here, one that can only be done with one's fist, repeatedly, over and over.
It appears your whole squad was wiped from existence. I'm
Malker
going. Go
Sorry,
ahead.
go ahead. No, you go ahead.
I'm going to proceed to check the body along with surrounding areas for any piece of information that he left for us.
Give me an investigation if you want, and you're gonna get an additional. Let's see how many. 8 bonus dice from Arling. You forgot to input the bonus dice.
Yeah, I rolled an
You
investigate.
forgot to click out of it. You need to click out for it to save the dice.
There we go.
There we go.
much better.
All right, so 8. Well, I'll tell you what you do find. First of all, it appears that Molker decided to fight with his knife, his last gun not here, likely the one he left with Warren. And his knife, as said, appears to have been shattered. Long enough to still cause damage, but broken. You can tell that he was most likely had his helmet removed and was beaten to the ground afterwards by hands before being given the killing blow with that hammerhead through the chest. You search the area for anything more you can find, and you do find his helmet, which appears to have been crushed, likely after it was removed from him. stepped on. And even though it's very hard to discern, you do actually find like signs of combat, blood that does not appear to have come from him. Whoever he was fighting, he did put up a fight at least. As for the Vox unit, for now, as you're looking through things, you have not found it yet. But it's at this point that Aralyn, who is helping you along, will say, "The surgeon certainly put up a fight, it seems."
Yes.
Whoever sent us here knew this was gonna happen.
Malkir. He knew he was going to die here, along with his squad. They must have been able to get the messenger out so they could be able to get us this intel.
But
Yes.
But if somebody knew this was gonna happen, if somebody could get a messenger, why did nobody send reinforcements? They could have saved these people.
In war, in war, plans never go according to plan. Me and Maximo are fully aware of this. Me more than others, from my experience. This reminds me of my third engagement when I became a grenadier. We were tasked with defending a simple outpost that had been mass attacked day in and day out. Each one of us died every day until only I was left alive. What Malkir did, he knew that the only way they would survive was through the information they had a black box. He had to have put the black box somewhere on this floor. That's why they beat him. They were trying to gain that black box, but he wouldn't give it to them. It's somewhere here. And he died to make sure that information was ours alone.
See, he's looking through a data slate as you say that, and he responds with, "Well, Maximo, it appears Vita here is correct. Do you see this bleep?" And it shows you a bleep on the data slate on a grid.
Maximo squint looking at it. It's so small, but I see it.
Yeah, that very small bleep comes from that rabble over there. Could you be a dear and go and see what's under the rabble?
What's a deer? All I know is crocs. Maximo will proceed to walk over there. He will take his Ogren style.
I'm trying to maintain composure for the scene.
Anyway, he'll take his ripper gun bayonet, take it off the ripper gun at the moment, to actually use it as a extension to actually start pushing things out of the way, trying to dig.
Like a spade.
Yeah, like a makeshift spade.
Alright, make me an athletics test, DN2.
Does it? What? Well, Maximo will like to spend a wrath point to fix that.
Alright, you have not gained that wrath icon back, so I don't need to adjust anything, just roll it.
Okay. Wait.
And you're back to one wrath. Well,
Hey.
it's a
kinda
good thing you
never
got that
seen it
objective.
before. It just the knife just got a little nicked and just that fixed. It just
You got like a little chip on it now.
yeah. But it,
You very easily managed to remove the rabble after getting your knife nicked a little. And in all of the rabble, you find a Vox unit device, like the ones carried by guardsmen on their back. it appears to be beeping a little after you remove the rubble. You can actually hear it. It appears to also have been coated in what you can only describe as blankets, probably found in the cultist hub quarters, so that the noise from the beeping would not alert anyone. Do you wish to make the others aware of it? Oh, sorry.
Maximo just, is this what you're looking for?
Lucas, look.
Lucas immediately snaps his head in Maximo's direction and just
Maximo's
very
visual-
quickly gets over there to the Vox unit and proceeds to take it over to Arlene to start digging so they can start proceeding to extract the black box as quickly as possible.
Maximo visibly starts just suddenly see
See-
a masked fellow just turn his head immediately towards you with that auto. He just reminds me of that one Payday 2 meme.
She attunes her Voxcaster to it and places the speaker on the ground so you can only hear what she gets once she finally fine tunes the frequency. And you hear the first thing you hear is, "This message is set to repeat." And after a brief pause, you hear, "This is Sergeant Malker, leader of a Tempestuous Scion squad under my lord, Sire Wolf, and the Emperor of Mankind. Our mission has been compromised, and we have been ambushed. In my final moments, I commit that my squad is fighting for their lives at Hub Block 71B-H, though most of us are dead. I have firm reason to believe, through my own investigation and suspicions of my troopers, that Interrogator Harrow is a heretical traitor, one who cleverly orchestrated events and several ambushes across the world of Periandor Beta and beyond. He has dealings with a mysterious cult leader known as The Voice, and has corrupted many of his fellow interrogators. Under his actions, there became a threat to many interrogators, most recent of which being one named Huras. The information I've uncovered by tracing this hub lock was that cultists within this place committed to me, under threat of death, that a man with glowing violet eyes gave them the information on where to find Huras. He himself was present and orchestrated an excellent ambush. So this transmission reads Xerxes' spear. I humbly implore Lord Maddox to inquire as to the true intentions of this vile traitor, so that all may see what he has wrought upon our cause. May the Emperor give me forgiveness, and may my lord find my death worthwhile. This message is said to read. And then the actual Voxcaster dies having run out of energy. Well, it was very opportune of us to find this when we did.
So,
After hearing the
Maximo's
message,
little
Luke
fear-ridden head, he just remembers Maximo was right back there when he actually thought Harrow was great.
as Arlene and Maximo possibly are having a conversation, Lucas is now very, very extremely cautious at this current moment, as he is very concerned that they need to get moving as soon as possible. We have no time to delay at this point.
So, we are all aware that this man's dying words were accusing Interrogator Harrow of orchestrating heresy. We all heard the same message, correct?
Yes. And it's
I
through his
think,
investigations.
but I'm not really sure.
Yes. But it's also through his investigations. He said that through through his squad's investigations, they were able to find this info. So the question now lays, what did they find exactly that led him to this?
Well, he said that they interrogated cultists under the threat of death, and they unveiled that he was the one orchestrating the ambushes. A man with violet eyes who was always present. How many men with violet eyes have you met, Viker?
Only one. Harrow. You don't see violet eyes every day.
But what
Unless
do
you're
we do now?
Cadian. This info is now highly volatile and
I
highly
am
necessary.
very much unwilling to still believe what I just heard, but can't deny the surgeon had reason to speak truth in his dying hour. After a brief moment of considering it, I must commit that it makes sense. Harrow must have orchestrated all from the beginning. Our first landing here, the original squad he was tasked with. He eagerly took the task of rooting out treachery amidst the rank of the Inquisition and finding out the identity of the cult. If there was anyone aboard that ship that had even a simple thought of treachery, he would know first. His mind warms into that of others. That is his thing.
Since that, we most likely know if we go back.
He was the mysterious psyker that was by the voice's side in the footage we uncovered.
Was it?
Yes, I
He
remember.
must have been. Who else would it be? He was there when the martyr was anointed within the cult.
That is true.
It makes Maximo Brainer. Maybe this is a planting trap too.
He must have been the one to send the martyr after us. Think about it, he was so surprised that we weren't dead.
But why kill us? We haven't done much.
Yes, we haven't done
That's
much.
why. Because he doesn't want us to do much. The more people that fall under his control, the more people he can send to die, the less resources the Inquisitor has. The more time he gets to plan out his heresies.
No.
So what do we do now?
Think about it. Wait. Think about it. Malker specifically said that he was also getting other interrogators. He's influencing those. What if he's also searching for those he thinks he can turn? I think I know where the coordinates where we were sent to. What if it was another test?
What if it was another trap?
A trap or a test?
Think
What if he
about
was
it. In the place we went to, where we discovered that ambush with a pic recorder, we arrived there and we found dead enforcers, but no enforcers had come to the scene. How could Harrow know that enforcers had already died there before the enforcers themselves?
It was a setup.
He was traitor. He's really stupid.
How
No.
so?
To put things like that for us to figure out. Even an
He's
ogre
not-
for cosplay.
No.
But until Malkar found this, until we were directed by this mysterious force to come here, we wouldn't have known. And that letter, somebody knows, and somebody knows well enough to warn us and to know that that's what they meant by the stormtrooper. We all miraculously survived the crash. Except for David. Harrow was leaning over him when we were awakening.
But it still confuses Maxim. If he was to kill David, why not us either?
He probably was planning to, but we came too quickly enough.
Set up the ambush.
Witchy brain stuff. They do things. I remember seeing back then that one brain.
He even told us that he wormed through David's brain in his last moments.
Lucas immediately takes out his own data slate and starts going through the map specifically to check where the coordinates would have led us to exactly. If we had
They
followed
would-
only Harrows.
They would have led you to what appears to be basically defense station, a defense battery, likely well fortified, and as you saw unitorm crates on the floors below, the possibility of enforcement having been compromised to chaos is not out of the question.
We would have been sent into a kill box. Defense, these types of artillery positions are not highly accessible from multiple angles. Only one access point. Even if we could defend it, they could easily blow it up. They have access to Munitorm supplies. In other words, explosives. They could have easily rigged the place to blow, and then we would have entered. Boom.
There's also one more thing. Inquisitor Harrow is very impatient and intolerant of delays. We all know this. Correct?
Yes.
Yet, correct me if I'm wrong, but did he not give us several days of leave to recuperate and rest away from the hideout where we could have very easily done that under his command in case anything happened? If he had a meeting with his interrogator Huras, he would have needed backup in case something went awry.
I wouldn't know if that was true or not. I don't have enough evidence.
Arlene, do you know who this Inquisitor Huraz is, by any chance?
No, but if he had a squad with him, I bet they do. We should likely warn them too.
How many
Yes.
squads are currently in the city?
I have no idea. This information is not even shared among most interrogators, from what Harrow has told me.
Ulger wouldn't give us the VODs units. The black box. If we can find a power source, do you think the black box might be able to hold squad locations? We could try and track down some of the squads, see if they're all right.
I highly doubt such advanced information could be contained within a Vox unit. Most likely a data slate, but those are not provided to non-agents.
Well, Maximo can try to do some tech
But-
stuff to fix Fox unit like last time.
That's what I'm explaining, that even if we did, it likely won't have the information we need.
But
But
still could be very helpful because Fox
I
can give
have a
us
Vox
increased
unit.
range, right?
I have a Vox unit. The one next to it, Maximo, the one we use to decipher the information.
Oh,
I did mention to use your own Vox unit decipher the message.
You know, Maxim was not fully observant of everything.
It's okay. It's
He
okay.
hasn't
It's
mastered
okay.
the tool.
It's
He's an
okay.
ogre. He's distracted.
Well, thankfully, in our interrogator's wisdom, he did tell us that the remaining of the squad, were sent to the nearby enforcer station to interrogate surveillance footage.
Lucas looks at the data slate map to see where the enforcer station is in relation to the battery they were sent to.
Well, relatively
Appropriate.
within the subsector, within this section of the city, but relatively far apart. Let's say different ends of the sector, of the subsector.
On different ends of the sector. We're closer to the battery. If Haro wants us to take it, did he specify the amount of time?
Harrow asked us to find out what is going on and whether it has been compromised. If we're to assume it was a trap, I may have an idea on how we can outsmart him.
I would like to hear this.
Now, Arlene has an ability called Deductive Genius, which normally, when used by a player, you can spend one glory to gain GM information about some question of yours. In this case, you guys can spend one glory to essentially have Arlene come up with a plan, let's say. This one of those cases.
Very well. I believe using a glory for this case would be most advantageous.
Do you concur, Maximo?
Maximo will work with it.
All right, so you both concur to using glory for this?
Yes.
Excellent. With that, she will say, I have a way that we could approach Harrow without letting him know what we find out, and without giving away that we didn't go to where he promised that we should. Well, where he ordered that we should. We'll tell him that we visited the battery, and that it seemed to have been confusion as to what happened. A mere malfunction in the system. Nobody attacked us or anything. Should that cause surprise in him, we can be rest assured he's a traitor. He likely expects one of two results. We either die there, or it's another ambush, and we come out victorious. Those are the results he's expecting. If we tell him that we went there, and nobody attacked us, nobody killed us, and we didn't kill anyone, it was merely all just a rather unfortunate malfunction.
But would he not know that by going through our heads?
There is a thing about psychics like him. They can only read surface thoughts. So we must all very specifically keep a constant stream of thought about what we're saying when we talk to him.
So,
If he wishes to warm into our minds, he's gonna have to manifest his powers visibly.
so it brings in the idea for Maximo. Maximo can be easily distracted with his little vice of getting fresh bread. Maybe that'll help him from keeping from those stray thoughts of Maximo to accidentally spilling the beans.
I will lower the DN for you on the deception check if it comes to that.
Because because
Just for coming
Maximo-
up with that idea.
because he is unfortunately simple loyalty and he's an honest ogre. He doesn't like lying because the Emperor frowns upon liars. Even though lying to a heretic is a difficult situation for him.
Lying to a possible heretic.
Possible heretic. Things are also confusing for him, so he does not know what's true anymore. Except for the Emperor itself.
Arlen then equips her Vox unit again and says, I do not know where this will lead us, but I guarantee you this. We will make him answer for what he has done. For David.
For David. Let's proceed.
So, do you all agree to head back to your headquarters?
We first stop for bread.
Fine. You first stop for bread. You may spend one wealth to acquire bread.
Service little thoughts from Matsumo. Bread is delicious. Bread is delicious. Bread is delicious.
Can I try to go
God
for
damn it.
influence test instead, please?
Sure. I mean, you are wearing an outfit of of the guard.
And Maximo is nice to the bread lady.
Very well.
Please.
Ah,
I have a
precisely
one.
enough.
Yay! Maximo has bread and enjoying it.
Maximo has a nice warm loaf of bread.
Yes, enjoy it. And also slowly eating it, saving every bite. Now his mind is now firmly distracted on bread. Beyond the mission. He just idly follows the party. There you go. Saves you from that part.
I will swap your deception to persuasion when he tries to read your mind if he does so.
Well, you
To be
will find his
convenient.
bread.
Yeah, because you're gonna persuade him that this is a really good bread.
Yes. Mom, this is like, it reminds him of Mama's bread. No matter which one, persuasion or deception, they're both the same score. Alright, continue on.
You're gonna have to give me a couple of minutes.
You want to take an opportunity for a small bio break or something?
Yeah, let's do a very tiny bio break and then we can all return.
Alright.
Alright, be right back, folks.
Maximo will return shortly.
Oh, and once again, I would like to remind everyone that if you wish support what we're doing, everything is in the description. You can find our own individual channels if you want to support us that way. Tell your friends, that helps most of everything. And yeah, we'll be right back with you in a short moment.
Prophecy, Lucian?
Maximo has returned.
Hello there, Maxwell.
He has fresh bread. You could say it's pure bread. I wonder how audience doing. Hello everyone, Maximo here. We say thank you for showing up to even consider watching us.
And a special and as a nice thank you from Lucas for very much enjoying this much more RP heavy one as we learn some very terrifying truths.
Indeed, dark secrets. Maximo doesn't like secrets. It is too quiet. Suspicious.
Most suspicious.
Can't believe we have a imposter among us.
Amogus.
I think somebody saw the interrogator vent.
He did vent, and he was very sus too. He stood over body and self-reported.
He threw David out the airlock.
No, he murdered in front of us. He turned off lights.
He kind of did, if you think about it. Anyway, if she has done that,
I just can't believe I just had a good reference of a month. Oh boy.
Mad
Anyway.
sus here.
yes, except in the 40k universe, they don't play Among Us, they play Alfarius. Alfarius. Anyway, so You make your way back to the hideout, and you unveil the secret entrance, enter, close it behind you. Few hours have passed since you left because of all the transit and investigating and all that, as you can imagine. Maximum, you have bread.
Bread. Delicious.
And as you return, you find Haru leaning over over the cogitators, and without turning his head, he says, "You arrived swiftly. Good.
Maximo was good. We got bread.
The fact
More,
we had to detour for bread, of all things.
Hmm. It's not bad
more,
though.
but more annoying delays to our grand investigation. So, what did you find of the defense array? Um,
It appeared
may I? Oh,
mistake.
excuse me.
It appears to have been some error in their judge. It appears to have been some error in the information that they were provided. If I were, if I'm correct, Arlene.
Yes, their cogitators identified our vessel as a hostile aircraft, but they were surprised that we made out alive and very eager to provide us an explanation as to they have been put on alert by, well, hopefully our forces for any incoming or outgoing traffic. They seemed as loyal as any emperor respecting servant of his name could be. And now I want Maximo to roll me a persuasion, and Arlene and Lucas will roll deception.
Uh, is there any modifiers for Maximo? Is it red?
Well, the fact that you're rolling persuasion is because of bread. So,
Oh boy. Well, let's see. Fellowship of two. Let's see what happens. Hey, I got a 0.
right?
Let's see. Oh, actually, Maximo will spend his last craft point for that.
Go ahead.
Maximo got a 1.
All right.
Everyone got a 1.
No, Lucas, you have to roll deception, not persuasion. Only Maximo is rolling that.
Still a 1.
So, as he looks across all of you, it would appear so. Now, if I may, are you certain they showed no signs of treachery? Sweat under questioning, trembling in their voice. His stare strikes you menacingly, but not in a I'm gonna die way, in a Haru is a scary person way. You're uncertain as to whether she can tell through your ploy or not.
Maximo will, out of nowhere, interrupt. Just
Want some bread? It's really fresh.
I do not wish for bread and circuses right now.
But it's delicious. Freshly baked.
Arlen is going to roll insight on him. Would you like to attempt as well, guys?
I guess Maximo doesn't have an ability to help on insight, so I guess he could attempt. But I think he's just trying to be a continuous distraction.
Yeah, it would not benefit Lucas in the slightest. So no.
I mean, you can still roll good.
Well, as long as he's still attempting his distraction of Hiram with his ogre imbecility.
Oh shit. Oh
Yeah,
shit.
Yeah, you just saw the uh-oh.
No, that's not what made me say that.
Yeah, you used to have red points you used to roll.
There is an intense stare-off between him and Aralyn, where neither of them seem to budge. Neither of you can tell much of it, as it only lasts a few seconds. Before Haru says, "Very well then. I have notified enforcers secure the site of the Karas. They will identify if any further tampering was performed, and we will know shortly. Within a matter of hours, in fact." I guess in that time I wouldn't have any further requests of you.
Now, here comes the fun scene. Maximo, do something more rash.
I shall withdraw to my sanctum. Maintain control of the cogitators, Arlene. The two of you can do whatever you will, just do it quietly.
Maximo will try to eat his bread quieter this time.
Sorry, I'm a loud chewer.
He withdraws into his sanctum again. Then you both receive a message to your data slates, the ones that were included in your agent's kit.
Mm-hmm.
The message appears to be from a nearby data slate going through an encryption. The message reads as such: tingles in the eyelid, signs of sweat. He is suspicious, says the message.
This is really good.
Then another message arrives. I suspect he will not attempt anything. He is currently outnumbered, and despite his abilities, we could still do some damage. Ireland then begins to rummage through the cogitator and see what has basically been done in the past few days to it.
let you guys remember, Maximo does have a frag bomb if you want to use it.
Well, you're on the thread right now,
No. Maximo is not.
and Ireland will turn around and say, that was a weird malfunction for their systems to have. Usually, defense forces are a lot more composed.
Indeed.
Weird.
To have that level of a malfunction, someone would have had to have altered something in a during a maintenance run.
Or bad servitor to servo to thing.
Yes.
Or mayhaps a rogue spirit in the system that led the mechanisms astray.
We'll have to look into this, most assuredly. We need to be
Yes.
certain that it's not outside forces.
I wonder if perhaps next time we could have Sergeant Malker and his squad aid in our investigation.
Indeed.
But when we go see him again,
When he's back from his operation,
Yes.
Interrogator Howard did inform us that he's investigating a possible stash of heretical nature.
No. In the meantime, we should start looking into the possible leads of this misinformation, whatever nature it may be. Yes. See?
otherwise there's a Mr. Information.
Indeed,
Yes, Maximo. Yes, Maximo.
that appears to be very good bread.
Really good. It has little seeds in it.
Yes.
As he
I
points
wonder
out,
how-
it's like sunflower bread seeds.
I wonder how many seeds one could find inside the Inquisitor's vessel. You know, from the occasional ration of food consumed aboard.
Are you implying Maximo doesn't clean back behind himself? And why that much of a mess, Peter?
Oh, I'm not implying you don't clean up well, Maximo. I'm implying others are doing a solid job of keeping the dirt they leave behind.
You just got to love it when
Maximo's not
the
missing
soldiers
vessels.
can't take care of themselves. You never know what they leave behind.
I didn't want to have Mom scorn me. I leave the mess.
Well, then it's a good thing you're not the one being scorned.
Maximo will nod at that.
I love the two conversations happening right now.
Gotta love to use the imbecility of an ogre and simplify it.
Lucas and Arlene on the same page. Maximo, on the other hand,
On a
this
different
is
book.
bread. Yeah, this is really good bread. That's all he's thinking. Damn.
Yeah,
bread.
That's like
Luca-
Owen's friendship is through food, right?
Lucas and Aralyn are reading Tom Clancy together. Maximo is off reading the recipe book. Yeah, this
It's
kosher
actually
salt guy
self-raising
seems very
Emperor
sneaky.
Frank yeast.
So yeah,
2 cups of Mechanicus blessed machine vegetable oil.
I doubt the mechanicals would want to do anything with vegetables, but anyway. Uh,
Grease the toasters.
as time passes, where you quietly waiting for something to happen, you hear the entrance pop open, and an approaching pair of footsteps, multiple, as one or possibly more people are coming down the stairs. And as they approach the entrance to the lair itself, Arlene says, "Oh, you must be Interrogator Horaz's retinue." And with a pair of shadowy figures leaning closely through the entrance, that is where we shall end our session.
Bread.
Bread.
Want some bread?
God damn it.
So, how do you fellows like it?
So far, good. Yes. Maximo got
I
the
like-
bread.
I'll definitely say this. I think this is my favorite part. Just some nice RPing that adds to just how damn dark it's gonna get from here.
Indeed. And the tensions are very high.
Oh yeah.
I hope you're excited to meet Interrogator Horaz rating next time.
Yes. I
Indeed.
don't know if Maximo excited or still reveling in this bread.
Hopefully, he will be done eating his bread in 2 weeks. But for now, we have some outros to get to. This has been Hellfighters, and I'd like to first of all thank anyone who stuck with us on the live all the way through. You make the world of difference. And also anybody who's watching the VOD, we are also very happy to have you. And I have been your most majestic host and a ravenous hunter that tears through the void in search of dice and failed rolls, Sir Reaper. You can find me on my channel, which is in the associated channels of Natural Disasters. And I would like to pass the mic to everyone's favorite Ogrin, played by the one and only.
Well, it's me, Mek Plays, also known as Organs, but you don't have to know that yet. Not yet, at least. But anyways, Mek Plays. Anyways, you can go head over to the little Twitters or now new called X, and you can follow me there for new and updates about what's coming up down the grease pipe. Now, right? Good.
Let's face it. No one's gonna keep calling it X. It will forever be Twitter. Twitter. No matter
Give
how.
give it a year.
Dead
Give it
voter
a
calls.
year.
But anyone, so I still need my cobalt back. It's useful, lot, but lazy in his job since he's all lost in the background. Eh? Anyways,
You know, I do have some friends who go there quite often. I could ask them to look for him.
maybe. Before we get a little search team looking up for the cobalt.
Yeah.
He has my favorite bridge.
But playing the ever accurate Lucas Viter,
Is me, Art of War. Enjoying playing the RPs whenever I can.
indeed.
Greg Biggs is quite astute.
It
Well,
is
I
our
mean,
job.
He has been out of the regiment for a while now.
I know. He's digging up more secrets than his own trench
Oof.
can.
Just oof.
Well,
Sounds like we find ourselves entrenched in a mystery.
very likely. And I have to say, after today's revelations, I'm very excited to see how both you and other members who might join us in the future will react to the information given.
As long as Maximo doesn't get another head.
Yes. If Harry is indeed the traitor, then a lot of things will make sense. But who can be certain in this life?
Only in the Emperor is certain.
Mhm. All right, and with that, I would like to say a firm see you soon to our audience, and say that the next session shall be on the 25th.
And Maximo's final advice: make sure you give a lot of appropriate petting attention to your pets and animals. They need a good brushing and a good bath every once in a
And
while. Don't
don't
forget
lead
to
them to
feed your
ambushes.
cats and dogs.
Yeah, and also, the whole don't lead them to ambushes seems fairly important.
Indeed.
Anyway, Maximo,
Bye.
hit the code staters.